well, welcome to Sandy Sun Travel. So we're back from the Norwegian Encore, or rather, I guess we've been back for a little bit yet, but we've been posting videos of our experience and our fun. Now, we're going to share a video walkthrough of the Even Hotel Miami Airport. It's like 3 minutes from the airport, and we're going to do a bit of a review at the end. So we will be on screen, but hey, let's check out the hotel. Entrance to the Even Hotel is pretty normal, although right across the street is a residential area, and it felt a little odd as we drove up.
Walking into the lobby, you can see that it's a pretty tight space, and it always kind of made it feel a little chaotic in there.
Here you can step through into the restaurant and lounge. That was really nice, but it seemed like it got very crowded and busy as the evening wore on.
Out here we're going to walk into by the pool area, and it's a cute little courtyard. It's got like some, I don't know if you'd call them necessarily yard games, but you know, some fun stuff to do.
As I looked down the hall, I could see some meeting rooms. We never looked inside, but if you had to hold a meeting, this would be a place to do it.
And in here you can see they have a pretty nice setup for their gym. There's quite a bit of stuff in there to get your workout in.
And now we'll head back to the lobby.
We had hoped that this hotel would be a hidden gem, especially because hotels are relatively
Wow.
relatively expensive in Miami, you know, as compared to other ports. And we were able to book our room for about $222. And so we jumped on it and we booked 2 rooms at this rate because we needed one for us and one for our friends that were going with us.
The day before our flight, I'd gotten an alert on my phone that our credit card had been charged $410 for by the hotel, which seemed a little odd. The math didn't make sense to me, but whatever. So I reached out to our friends, and their card got charged as well. Now, we assumed that it was maybe the room rate plus a deposit, but that was kind of the first of the uh-ohs. Now, remember these prices. They were $410, and the rate that we had gotten was $222. There'll be a quiz at the end.
So to start off, we get to the airport in Miami, and we were told by Even Hotel that when we got there to call the front desk for our shuttle.
Right.
And so that's what we did. We went and we got our luggage, and then Ron called, and we waited.
We waited. We watched every other shuttle.
Come by multiple times.
Yes. We got to know them, you know, we were exchanging Christmas cards. It was a thing.
No, it was frustrating, but we were there for we waited probably an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And Never did we see a shuttle come by. And then when we just did an Uber, we get to the hotel, and I think we went and got changed and came back down, and we saw a shuttle pull up. I took a picture of it too.
So that's the start of our experience. As we get into the hotel, we were so excited because they had these hydration stations. They had regular water and they had like lemon water and whatever. And we're like, yes, oh, thank God. It was like, we were on a desert trek or something.
And you could tell it was nice and cold because the condensation.
Oh, it looked delicious. And we went looking for cups and there were none.
No cups.
And so then we asked at the lobby, the front desk, hey, you guys got any cups? No, we don't have cups.
It wasn't a very nice.
No, so fortunately we had water bottles and we filled up with our own water bottles. When I went to check in, they're like, you don't have a reservation. And I'm like, oh, mon frere, contraire, whatever. I can't speak French, as you can tell. So after much debate and scrolling through all of my emails from the hotel, I managed to find reservation numbers. And the first time, she's like, oh, those were canceled. Well, again, this is news to me because you charged me yesterday. Right. And she's like, oh, well, let's take a look here. Finally, she finds it. And they had split the reservation in two. And long story short, we got our rooms and got a reservation. And at that point, we were so tired, I wasn't worried about the fee, the charge. I figured I'd figure it out at checkout. We get to our rooms. And one cool thing about the hotel, it's a super dumb thing, but I thought it was cool, is that because it's called the Even Hotel, all of the rooms have even numbers. Yes. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a fun quirk. But anyhow, so then we move on to our room.
Yeah. And we get to our room, and honestly, the room was nice. Mm-hmm. It was nice. And this hotel specifically is set up for health and wellness, basically. It's really around that. Like, they had an exercise bike in the room, and they had all different kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But, and it was decorated nice. It felt clean. Yeah. Bathrooms were nice. But it was hot.
Oh my goodness. It was probably 75 degrees in the room. Yeah, the AC wasn't on.
It was humid.
Yeah. So, and then it turns out our friends who were traveling with us, their room was the same way. So we called down to the front desk, and they sent their service person, which took, I don't know, an hour and a half, maybe. Here we are, we're hungry, ready to go out to get something to eat. The gentleman finally shows up, and the problem was they'd had the circuit breaker shut off at a main panel, which I assume was probably, again, with kind of the health and wellness and eco-friendly theme, was done intentionally to save energy. So I get that. But you'd think if the room's reserved, then again, they supposedly canceled our reservation, so maybe, Lord only knows. Well, after dinner, we get back to our hotel.
Yeah.
And well, so we get back to our room, and it's like 60 degrees in our room. So not only was it not working before, now it's working overtime. And we could never get that fixed. But when we get back to the hotel, after dinner, we got back to our hotel, and we walked into the lobby, or
to the restaurant area, because we wanted to get a drink before we went to bed. And it was packed in there, and there was people complaining that the restaurant had actually run out of food. Yeah. And they were having some kind of convention or something, so they knew.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
The people we were talking to next to us had said it was, I can't remember what it was, but it doesn't really matter. But they knew this big group was coming, and they had run out of food, so...
Yeah, so we can't verify that, but there were definitely people that were upset about it. Yeah. So there was something going on. After we thawed out from our frozen night in our room, we got everything cleaned up, ready to go. Our rate had included breakfast. And we sat down for breakfast, and we got seated. We had to wait quite a while to get seated. Then we sat down, and someone had walked by our table multiple times with a cup of coffee, or a carafe of coffee, and never, we're like, hey, hello, hey, excuse, nothing.
Which actually we ended up laughing about, because it was just ridiculous at how they didn't even acknowledge us.
Yeah. So then our server comes to the table, and we informed them that we had breakfast included in our reservation, and there was some question as to whether or not that was the case. And at this point, I did manage to keep my cool, but I was very frustrated, and I was informed that I needed to go to the front desk and ask, and I was also told not to tell them that our server sent us up there because he was getting in trouble for sending people up there. So we go up, and I had to wait. I got my Got all of our breakfast vouchers, and he was the guy behind the counter was annoyed there. So we get our breakfast, and kind of a little bit surprisingly, breakfast was wonderful.
Yeah, it was. Actually, it was really good.
We had a good time at breakfast. We laughed about it. But it was just, gosh, it was like every time there was an issue, we continue on, get our luggage, we're ready to go check out, and things continue to get worse.
The gentleman that was behind the desk, the front desk of the hotel, the face
of the hotel
was literally wearing sweatpants and like flip-flop or slides.
Crocs.
Crocs. It was Crocs.
And like he looked like he rolled out of bed.
And I mean, maybe they called him in last minute and he had to, who knows, but it's just, for as nice as the place was aesthetically, and it just was very unprofessional.
Yeah. So then I told him, I said, hey, this price is wrong. He said, well, you guys stayed in a suite. And because I said, we were supposed to get $222 a night. And he said, well, not for a suite. And I said, well, that's the reason I booked this hotel, because the rate was so cheap.
Yeah.
And long story short, I finally just said, you know what, forget it. We'll pay it. I'll get it sorted out later. And we walked out of the hotel, and we just laughed about it. We had a great cruise, had a great time, came back from our cruise, and we checked into another hotel because it was Super Bowl Sunday, and we wanted to enjoy ourselves that night. And I called that morning because we were waiting to get checked into our hotel room. And I talked to 2 or 3 different people at that point, and finally, was told that I needed to speak to the manager at that hotel and that they would have him call me back.
Yeah. That night we got a call just as the Super Bowl was starting, literally, and Ron's like, "Oh my God, no, this is not the time."
Right.
It's ridiculous. So, anyways, he called again the following morning, and then again on Tuesday morning. And finally, we got refunded the $183, which brought us back to the original price of $222. And the only explanation that we got was that the hotel split our original reservation.
Yeah, we booked it in November, and then we cruised the beginning of February, and somewhere in the midst of that, they chose to separate the reservation. They just split the rooms in half, gave us 2 different reservation numbers, and didn't bother to inform
us. The price shouldn't have changed, because it was the same room.
Right. So to this day, I still don't really have it. And the only advice, the corrective action they told me they were going to do was to tell us not to put 2 rooms on 1 reservation.
Which does not make sense, because people book blocks of rooms for many different events, conventions, weddings. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think the thing about this that's so hard is, we're typically really positive. In fact, we've had people kind of give us a hard time because our approach to talking about the hotels or cruises or whatever, typically we're like we see the silver lining in every cloud. Right. We're typically upbeat, and I guess we're probably more upbeat. We are more upbeat in this review than barring some miraculous change, probably will not be staying at this hotel again.
Yeah.
But I just don't think we can recommend this hotel to anyone. As a travel agent, we won't be booking anybody in this hotel unless we won't recommend it to anyone. Right. We won't book it unless they just are adamant that they want that room. You take that for what it's worth. But they did make us whole, which is like the bare minimum that they should have done, right? But they never. It should have never been an issue.
We're super disappointed because, in our opinion, the hotel was nice, but the service just was not that great. Yeah. All around. Every
time we turn around.
Yeah, yep. And every interaction we had with everybody that was working there, it just wasn't. We still made the best of it. We still had a good time.
We had a good time, but it was less than optimal. So if you stayed there, let us know. Did you have a better experience? Did you have a worse experience? That might be... Tell us your bad hotel experience stories. We'd love to hear them, and tell us what they did to fix it, if they did anything.
Right. Sometimes they don't.
Anyway, that's the Even Hotel at the Miami Airport. And hey, Even, if you're listening, we're sorry that we didn't have a great experience. And... I don't know what else to say. So, why don't we end it there? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.